Hi guys, it's Jazz1122 here, and this reading is for the water signs, and it's a timeless one for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I would like to say thank you guys so much for your likes, your comments, and to all my new subscribers, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here, and with that being said, let's get right into this video. Oh, that's too many. Hold on. Alright. See what's going on for water signs. We have winter's end. We have night wind, facing fear, subconscious release and healing. Attachment. And then we have rising above, clarity, freedom, and solution. One thing I see in your spread, water signs, is a lot of fear here. But the beautiful side of it is, I see that you are going through a rebirth. Our subconscious stores all of our memories that we may not remember, right? It takes time for our subconscious to open up and we become more aware of it. Also, how we sleep too. So, water signs, usually a sign that you're subconsciously really stressed out is what type of dreams do you have? Do you have like uneasy type of dreams, or dreams that feel very, very strange? And I've had dreams like that. I've been having some weird dreams because my subconscious mind has been opening a lot. So it's while I sleep, it plays out as a very weird dream. But it took me a while to get to my subconscious healing because it was kind of closed for a while. I didn't have access to it. But this is where one thing that helped open it up was paying attention more to what I absorb and the information I absorb, and also listening to meditative music while you sleep. Water signs can help you. So I do see some subconscious fear release, and also you may be feeling uncomfortable of situations too that cause you to feel restriction or fear, or you could feel in a very lonely place. Pretty much is what I'm trying to say. Also, if your sleep patterns have been very erratic, that's another thing. So, but with the winter's end, it is a positive outcome through all this. It is through acknowledging our fears that we are able to truly move past them. And I forgot what video I talked about this in, when I talked about the subconscious mind. I forgot which one it was, but I also talked about this when I came back, the power of the subconscious mind and how the subconscious mind controls our conscious actions. And if we're not careful, we could be living our lives out of fear, and our logical mind can make up excuses for that fear. Let's say, for example, being in an unstable relationship. What stems of that is not always love, because we can look at it like, why would they love someone like that? Well, why? But what if it's not love? What if it's fear that keeps them there? The fear of the unknown. Because think about it, in a toxic relationship, for example, it becomes predictable. You see what I'm saying? That's not as scary. You know you're going to be in pain, right? But it's like you feel in control of it. Like you feel you know how it go. But it's when that person in that toxic situation, it's more scary to be alone, for example. So it's fear. That fear of them being alone causes them to rationalize them staying in that relationship, even though that relationship is showing them sign after sign after sign after sign is not working. But from that subconscious fear, we make the conscious decision to stay in that attachment. Like toxic relationships are a great example of that. It's fear. It's either, in of course in extreme cases, there's fear warranted, especially if you feel somebody really going to physically hurt you. Of course, that's different. But I'm talking about the toxic relationships where it's not that type of danger. But it is a danger, if that makes sense, to your mental health, to your emotional health, to your growth, to your self-esteem. But our minds can rationalize. This is better though. Because then our mind would say, but at least you have someone, right? That's not so scary. I mean, and then you try to brighten up the darkness that you're in, in a way to convince yourself. That's how powerful fear is, that you'll find yourself, that's way more scary to be alone. At least I know like what goes on here, and being with someone who mistreats me is better than me being alone. That's really what it stems down to, is fear. That's fear can run a person's life and they're not even aware of it. But I see for you, water signs, you are becoming more conscious, and also you're doing that subconscious healing of your fear. So you could be having a lot of emotions come up, and it's important to tap into yourself, water signs, and see what kind of fears do you have. And also this could be for a small amount of water signs that may be in a toxic relationship. You feel me? It's when you really break down your relationship, what keeps you there. You may be surprised it's not even because you love that person. It's not. In some cases, you despise that person. How many times have we been in those situations where we actually despise that person low-key, but we still stay? Because the fear of being alone is way more powerful than leaving that relationship. I'm saying because I learned from my situations. Fear. Like, since Saturn is in my 8th house, I've really learned how much of my life was like subconsciously, because I have Chiron in the 12th house. So that means my wounds are my subconscious mind. And that's one of the hardest Chirons to have. Because that's why I talk about the subconscious mind so much, because my Chiron's there. And it took really up to my Saturn return for me to really become conscious of a lot. And it's still been opening up more and more and more since that point. So let's see what else is going on. But going back to the toxic relationships, for the water signs that may be in there, why do you feel trapped? Because like I said, you may be surprised. You probably, this person gets on your nerves. You probably can't stand them, but something is that attachment. It could be a fear of not wanting to be alone. And listen, that's not to judge nobody. I respect the person who could be like, you know what? I have to say, I do find fear in being alone. I never realized it that way. But today you do, right? So, because when we build relationships out of fear, that's how we build attachments, but not connections. And I talked about this in another video, where that connection, well, not that connection, this attachment will suck the life out of you. An attachment, see the fear. But it's on the other side of that fear is a rebirth, a regeneration. Winter's end. We have the Page of Wands. I love this. We have new ideas and creativity. So I see, water signs, you're going through a lot of internal healing, becoming more conscious of what still holds you back. But you do have a new beginning here for you. But it could also been traumatic things that happened in your life, water signs. This could even stem from your childhood for some, where you may not realize you are recreating the same things you saw in your childhood. How many times, y'all? Let's keep it a stack. How many times have we found ourselves in the same situation we watched as kids, or had the same type of relationships we saw our family members have growing up, and we don't even know? It's just in our subconscious mind, and we start to make those same decisions. We find ourselves having those same problems, but not realizing that that's a subconscious wound. Especially when you pick up unhealthy traits that stick in your subconscious mind. And then you make the conscious decision to choose what is subconsciously familiar to you. Maybe that's the point you come into, even from with your childhood. Do you see any themes in your relationships that reminds you of like your parents or the bonds your family had with one another? Page of Wands. We have the Ace of Cups. Let me tell you something, border signs. The universe do have happiness for you, but see, this is where the trauma you may have went through, because there's a lot of fear here. Out of anybody's cards, water signs, y'all got the most fear here. So for some, you may even fear being happy. You know that feeling of at any moment the rug's going to be pulled underneath you. So you don't want to get too excited about things, or you lose the passion of life sometimes. Maybe that's what you realize. But you do have the Ace of Cups. Going into this new beginning and facing these fears is very important, because fears can absolutely run and ruin our lives. Ace of Cups. And I appreciate and respect anybody who has that level of self-honesty of what holds them back, because boy, most people will run away from that like the plague. They would just be like, no, I don't want to accept it, I don't want to deal with it, but just because we don't want to deal with it don't mean it's still not going to wreak havoc on our lives until we do deal with it. Ace of Cups. And then you also got some good news coming in, water signs, with the Eight of Wands here. Yeah, Ace of Wands. You got brand new beginnings here, but I see that fear. The universe is emphasizing the water signs. Some of y'all went through some very traumatic things that subconsciously holds y'all back. It's for some it's childhood, for some it's relationships. Every water sign is different, but it's some deep fear here. And for some it's holding you back from really manifesting what makes you happy, because subconsciously you're on a fear vibration. You may not be conscious of this, because this takes time for the conscious mind and the... I just been... Saturn the 8th got me like a whole, somewhat, I call it what is that? Like a spiritual therapist, but really to myself, really. Because people would tell me like how I sound like a therapist. I just had to perform therapy on myself a lot. So through me, and I'm an Aquarius moon, so I can lay my problems out on the table and dissect them as a complete stranger. Even though they're my own issues, I can sit there and be like, yeah, well, how do you feel about that? Or, you know, have you really looked into that? So I have a high level of self-honesty with myself that I realize people, it could be hard, because I take truth like about myself very easily, but I'm a Sagittarius, you feel me? So I because I learned this, because when I try to talk to people about things, I realize I could trigger them. I don't mean to, you feel me? And I could say some stuff to really hit a sensitive spot with people. It's not because I try to, but you know, because I'm that honest with myself. I just encourage others to be honest with themselves, so you can have what you want. But before you have what you want, you have to be honest about the stuff that you don't want to. So you can have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands and move past the fear, you know? Because I noticed that on my journey. I don't be meaning to trigger people. Because I do be talking about some deep stuff. And, you know, it's not easy to face ourselves sometimes. But it's important that we do. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to... It shows power and responsibility. It's showing ourselves complete compassion for all of our parts, for what we love about ourselves, from the fear that we have, the good about ourselves, and also our shadow sides, you know, to have that all together. Let's see, Knight of Wands. See, we have the Ace of Swords, success, and logic. Through you working through your fears, water signs, your guarantee for it's that subconscious. For some, what's blocking y'all manifestations is legit your subconscious mind. Once that starts to open up, water signs, you good to go. And like I said, that subconscious mind, that takes a lot of work, a lot of practice. This goes by changing what you read every day. This is why, for example, successful people always read about motivational stuff. And I've been doing this too. I ain't gonna lie, because I've been slacking on that, right? There's no denying, since I've been watching people, it starts to motivate me. And then I start to get ideas. And I start to help myself break out of fears. And it's watching other people and doing personal development. I take that very seriously, because one thing is, as a Saturn and Cap type person, I know I can build success, right? Without a shadow of a doubt. But it's the foundation in me. That was always the messed up part. On the outside, you could see me as a very stable person. This was earlier in my life. But it was my internal and my subconscious that would cause havoc. It would play out in my relationships. It would play out with myself. But on the outside, I look stable, stable job, stable this, stable that. But internally and subconsciously, I had a lot of fear, especially with Chiron there. Ooh-wee. For example, I realized why I had a fear of why I don't like airplanes. With Saturn in the 8th, I really realized how I thought about it. I was like, when you think about it, I don't know why. In my mind, being on the ground, and there's plenty other people, I'm sure, as I've seen them say this too, but you feel on the ground, you have a chance, but you acting like at the same time, you still can't, something can't happen to you in a car, or something can't happen to you on a bus. So, because I had a fear of heights, and I realized, because I feel like I'm out of control. I feel like it's nothing. I'm just at mercy, pretty much. I feel like in the airplane, I'm just completely at mercy. And that's my next step I want to work on, is me getting on a airplane. Because I am a Sagittarius and I know I'm meant to travel. I know that, y'all, when I get on my first airplane, y'all, oh my gosh, it's game over for everybody. Because that is my biggest fear, is heights. You feel me? Heights. You know, like my partner, he just went on an airplane one day. Like his friend was having like a last minute, I forgot what he went down there for. I think his dad was having a wedding or something. And he never been on an airplane before. And he just went on an airplane. heights are a humongous fear of mine. And I realized, because I feel like I'm not in control. And I want to face that fear. It's that moment. So I've been watching people flying on YouTube. I'm so serious. I've been watching the plane take off so I can work to get through that fear. Because I know once I break, that's a big fear of me, is heights. And being up there that high, just at the mercy. And but anyway, I'm just saying. I just wanted to give an example of my fears, like heights and airplanes. But that's going to hold me back in terms of, you feel me? How am I going to travel? How am I going to see other places if I'm scared to get on an airplane? Like, that's going to hold me back. I mean, I can go everywhere where there's a Greyhound bus or where there's a boat, but I would really see more in the airplane. And as I was watching people go on the airplane, it's the landscape of it. It's so beautiful when you overlook everything. And I remember I never looked at it like that. It wasn't until Saturn the 8th where it's like, I legit want to work on that fear, because I know that's my number one biggest fear. And once I get on that airplane, it's game over for everybody, because I'll be that Sagittarius, like, let's go here, let's go there, let's go here. That would be such a powerful moment for me. So, water signs, what are your fears? It may not be in terms of trauma. It could just be in terms of, maybe you scared of heights. Maybe you're scared to trust people. All of these fears matter because they could hold us back. Ace of Swords. We had the Knight of Wands. The more you face these fears, water signs, the more motivated you're going to feel. Energetically, you will start to feel more brave in yourself. Like, you know what? I'm not going to let this fear run me. I'm determined to get through this and work through it, but not let it stop me from living my life. Being on the go with the Knight of Wands. Being excited about life again. And having new ideas and inspirations. Fear teaches us a lot about ourselves, because that's where courage comes in. That's where bravery comes in. No one who was known as brave or courage was not scared. What made them brave and what made them courageous was the fact that they accepted they had fears, but they didn't let it stop them. That's where bravery and courage comes in. See, and then we had the Queen of Swords. I feel after this, water signs, you have great things you do. The Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, the Winter's End. It's just getting to the bottom of those fears. Subconscious fears, going back in your past, anything you see, and being patient with yourself. Attachment. Oops. We have the King of Cups. For another thing, some water signs may struggle in terms of fear, because people would take your King of Cups, empathetic and caring, for granted. So it could have you feeling those feelings of not trusting people. For example, because you kind of feel like, remember, it goes into waiting for that other shoe to drop, or waiting for that rug to be pulled. And I feel y'all, water signs. I do. And one thing that helped me was to understand that how other people, I am not in control of what other people do, but I am in control of how I respond to it. So I can't stop someone else from pulling the rug from beneath my feet. That's why it's important for me to have my own rug. Because I was like that, y'all. I struggled to be happy because I will always feel in the back of my mind that something bad will happen, and think about that. That's a subconscious fear. And then that's when you'll start manifesting the bad stuff happening to you. And then you would think it's bad. It goes into a whole cycle. Man, fear is really a powerful thing. But I had to accept in life some people are going to pull that rug. But it was through that harsh reality of accepting that I was able to actually be happy. Because my happiness didn't change if somebody pulled the rug. Even would I be hurt that they pulled the rug? Of course. But it doesn't rock my foundation like it used to, because my foundation is stronger in myself. It was when I placed so much importance and love into other people more than myself. That's why when they pulled that rug, I fell all apart. But now when people pull the rug, I'm gonna be hurt by it a little. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna cry about it, shed some tears about it. But it doesn't change how I feel about me. I'm still gonna be me at the end of the day. And water signs, I want you guys to feel like that about yourself. Don't change the fact that you King of Cups, or if you're a woman, Queen of Cups, and you empathetic and caring, because people took that for granted. Listen, it's when you be around people that you could see those qualities within them, and you wouldn't have to force it out of them. That's another thing. They would just be on that same vibration as you. They'll be a match to you. King of Cups. And we have the Nine of Pentacles. The Pentacles still looking good though, water signs. I feel you're definitely separating yourself from people. People who you feel do take you for granted. This may have been fearful for you to let go of these people. That shows how much water signs care about people. Water signs can sure enough still care about people. Even though they're not there for them, even though, but is when a water sign says to themselves, I can no longer do this to myself. I can't let my compassionate nature continue to go to waste around people who would just deplete me. Nine of Pentacles. We had the Two of Wands. So this definitely leads into going to new beginnings and being focused. That's too many because that was 3, so I'm just going to put that back. And then we had the Three of Cups. So I feel by separating yourself, water signs, from these people, you will go along your path and you will meet Three of Cups people. New friends, new relationships and everything, but it's getting to the root of those fears. And see how many of your fears still hold you back today that you may not have realized. So, water signs, I hope you guys appreciate this video and I'll catch you guys later.